Now, a lot of people are going to want you to believe that this weekend of the NFL wildcard round was a great weekend for the one-time 262nd pick in the NFL draft, Brock Purdy. Hats available right now at heyguy.co. And you know what? All those people, and I hate to say this because I hate to agree with the common opinion, but they're right. It was a good weekend for Brock Purdy in terms of where he sits in people's minds. I mean, Justin Herbert, who I am pro Herbert, and I'll get to this in a second because people are going too far on Herbert. But Justin Herbert's a $262 million contract. He threw 4 picks and lost by 20. Jordan Love, who everybody was comparing, myself included, we did a lot of comparison last year. No apology for it. It was what was necessary. But a lot of comparison last year with Jordan Love and his $220 million contract. 3 interceptions, including the game ender, lost by 2 scores to Philly. Brock Purdy's got 5+ playoff games, 1 pick. Not, the plus game being the 4 pass attempts he threw against Philadelphia before he got hurt. He had 6 touchdowns. It's a good weekend for him. I think there's a lot of Mahomes, effect on people's minds. Like, is Mahomes warping where everything gets compared. Everyone gets compared. And it's just, it makes you think it's always supposed to look like that. And you forget that you look at the playoffs and you just go, it's hard. I mean, listen to these yardage totals. And yardage is not tied to winning, but listen to these yardage totals. Jordan Love, 212, Hurts, 131 and a win. Knicks, 144. Josh Allen, 272 and a win at home. Herbert, 242. Stroud, 282. That's a really good playoff total. Russ, 270 and a loss. Lamar Jackson, 173 or 5 or 0, but like 170. Jane Daniels, 268. That's good. I mean, obviously Lamar ran for a bunch of yards too. Baker, 185. Complete 15 balls. I mean, the playoffs are not made for video game numbers. And I think if you watched all these games this weekend, as I know a lot of you did, you come out of it going, oh, yeah, I forgot. Not everybody looks like an all-pro when they play quarterback in the playoffs. And it's about surviving and not turning it over. And it's about having a defense and making big plays in big moments and just avoiding meltdowns. That's what so much of it is about. So, like Herbert, you want me to sell my Herbert stock? No, thanks. He threw more interceptions in that playoff game than he threw all. He threw 3 in 17 starts this year. He's still good. Now, there is a lot of good news, big picture for the 49ers, which I'll get to in a second. I do want to tell you, though, I'm brought to you today by Prize Picks Code Guy. Make a $5 lineup. You'll instantly get $50 just for playing into your account. I've got a 2-pick power play coming up on Monday night. It's turnover fest. If you're waiting Monday Night Football, I think we didn't have it yet in the playoffs. I've got each quarterback to throw an interception. Sam Darnold, more than half a pick. Matthew Stafford, more than half a pick. I think it'll be the first game of these playoffs where both quarterbacks throw a pick. I don't think that happened yet. Did it? But anyway, I made a mistake here. I should have made this a flex play and added one other person, which you could do. I would recommend you put 3 people in and make it a flex play. And that way, like last night was an example, or this weekend is an example. Penn State, I bet 50 to win 112, but I only hit 2 of the 3 and I still got my money back. I got 50. So that probably would be the move if you want to go quarterback interceptions. But anyway, there you go. Prize Picks Code Guy. Make a $5 lineup, instantly get $50 just for playing. So here's the good news. And it's part of what I saw some of these today from Niner fans, just like the joy of watching a game or games where you can't be hurt. That was kind of the joke. It's like, they can't hurt me today. I did not feel that way, and I'll tell you why. It is such a painful year to miss the NFC playoffs. And the good news is next year is shaping up to be the same. And it's this. This is the good news. Jordan Love. We are less than 1 year removed from his disastrous 4th quarter finish and loss to the 49ers. And he didn't take the next step in his career evolution. And he didn't get that win that helps him shake off last year, right? I mean, here we are a year later, and postseason was over before it started for the Packers. I do think you're rooting for the Eagles right now. The longer they go, the more likely it is that Sirianni keeps his job. Although, even if they make the Super Bowl, I don't think you could put it past them to replace him. But he kind of did that song and dance last year and kept his job. Mike Tomlin, maybe. But I think the good news for the Niners, big picture, I think the Eagles are going to win another game at least, if not go to the Super Bowl, and that keeps Sirianni his job. And they're tough. They got good players, they got good coordinators on both sides, but you're always just looking for some flaws, and Sirianni is a flaw. Just like I think big picture Dan Campbell is. The Lions have an impending expiration date on being an elite team because I think it's a matter of time before the Dan Campbell stuff catches up with them. Once they lose Ben Johnson, they're a couple years behind where the Niners are, which is good for them because they're really talented and not too expensive yet. And they haven't lost their play caller on offense or defense yet. The brain drain has not occurred for the Lions. Oh, the Niners did interview their assistant special teams coach of a son, is coach, son of a coach, not coach of a son of a coach. Kyle loves that, former Niner OC in the Chip era. So anyway, we'll see what happens. But I do think the Lions are capped. I know if you've been watching for a while, I feel that I've said many times that I think Brock Purdy is better than Jared Goff. This year, Goff was better. I think they're largely both dependent. Like, they're in the group of quarterbacks. Which one is better? Well, it depends who's got the better team around them. And this year it's Goff. And so Goff is better. But I think Brock can go back to being better than Jared Goff next year. The Rams, I really like the Rams. But why? Because the Rams are the only head coach quarterback combination in the NFC that you could say is each one's elite. Each one looks like maybe they're, got a Hall of Fame track, that sort of thing. So that team is dangerous. But the good news on them, I'm giving you good news on all these teams, is that they're just aging. That Stafford himself is aging. But I still think he's got a couple good years left, at least one more good year in him. The Vikings, they're we're talking before Monday Night Football. I think the Rams beat them, even if they don't. They also have an expiration date on this version. They got really good skill guys. They got a really good defense. So that's competitive. That makes them very competitive and tough to beat. And they kick the Niners' ass. You can't deny any of that stuff. But in terms of really being a Super Bowl team, they're not. And the reason I don't think they are is even though some of I like Sam Darnold, I don't like him enough to say he's a Super Bowl champion quarterback. And they're going to have a tough decision. They're going to have to go to J.J. McCarthy. It might be an easier decision if they flame out in the playoffs. But weird, promising, really good year. Exciting, but a weird situation for them at quarterback coming up. The Bucs, they're out. Whatever. I don't get it. The excitement about them, other than they're good bang for your buck. You get good value with the Bucs. Like they pay $33 million for a quarterback that threw 41 touchdowns. That's really good quarterback value, or $35 million, whatever Baker made this year. How about the stat? He had 13 fumbles. That's insane. He only lost 2. He had good luck this year. So 13 fumbles and 16 interceptions. It's great. I mean, really, it is. Sincerely, what Baker has done to save his career and thrive and be an NFL starting quarterback. But they are not a true playoff threat. And, who they were a threat to was Detroit. They beat Detroit, but they're out. So much for that. But they're a 10-win team. You're not plotting 2025 around how do you beat Baker Mayfield and the Bucs. So sayonara. And Washington won. But, let's see if Cliff stays. Let's see if Jaden Daniels, if he's your quarterback, he's going to be the offensive rookie of the year. If he's your quarterback, you are so excited. You are so fired up, and you should be if he's your quarterback. Like I would be too. I'm excited. It feels like he's kind of headed towards tier 2 of the quarterback rankings. So let's see though. Like, does he become a guy you fear next year? Is that a coach you fear next year that Kyle Shanahan and the Niners should fear? I recognize I'm talking about the team that missed the playoffs and underachieved and had a bunch of injuries. And like, someone could watch this and be like, you're looking at this from the Niners perspective. All these teams made the playoffs. They didn't. I get that. But I also look at it from the perspective of, I think they're going to bounce back. That's what they've done historically. They have at least right now, the easiest schedule on paper, getting healthy, blah, blah, blah. So I think they're in good shape. Next year, there's not a sort of monster building. yet. Now, maybe Washington gets there in a couple of years. Maybe JJ McCarthy turns out to be the guy and the Vikings get there. The Eagles are just maintaining steadily. The Eagles are maintaining steadily. Green Bay looked like maybe they could become that. They didn't. Their quarterback didn't. And I think the Lions are at their ceiling now. They're at their ceiling now. If Goff was 25 and maybe a little different, I wouldn't say that. But now they're ceiling. Maybe they win the Super Bowl this year. The Lions could win the Super Bowl this year. My prediction is that they won't, but they could. But I don't think we're going to come back in 2025. They're going to be better. So good weekend for the Niners. Not really. No, sorry. Good weekend for Brock from a contract standpoint and just a general how we talk about quarterback standpoint. Not a good weekend for the Niners because look at these teams. Everybody's so flawed. But so are they. They got plenty of flaws to fix. But I think, you watch these playoffs through the lens of what's 2025 look like. And, tell me in the comments I'm wrong if somebody's about to become a beast in the NFC. But, they became this whole like Herbert thing. Again, I like Herbert. Okay, I'm betting on Herbert. Herbert's had a weird start to his career, and a lot of it not his fault, which is what, the haters say. Everybody says, like, none of it's his fault. Like, look at this dude. He's a stud. He threw 3 picks all year. Now, why did he only throw 23 touchdowns? A guy with his talent should throw more than 23 touchdowns. But all right. Hey, guy.co, if you want to check out the hats. Appreciate y'all. Talk soon. Later.